Are you studying for the Florida real estate exam? If you are, this is the right channel. What I did was I took all the questions, all 1001 questions out of the back of the book, broke them all down 100 at a time, reading you the questions, so all you have to do is listen to how the questions are worded and the answers are to follow. Hope you enjoy this presentation, bell notification, and let's get this test passed. I will do a complete math recap once I get all 1001 questions done. Thanks again for stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, and let's get this test passed. State of Florida real estate exam questions, Q&A cram exam number 10. Questions 901 through, for the first 100 to 1,000. Complete the sentence. The sales associate cannot. The answer is all the above. Sales associate cannot change the policies of their employer without consent, change the terms and conditions of the sales contract without permission, change the terms and conditions of a listing contract without permission. The answer is D, all the above. Who may directly receive compensation for performing any of the 8 services of real estate? The answer is a broker. Not 3. With whom can a broker share commission? A New Jersey broker who has not violated any Florida laws, because a broker can share commission with another broker. When calculating the housing expense ratio, what do expenses include? The answer is D, annual mortgage payments, property taxes, and insurance. What type of commercial market would exist if there were an excessive amount of office space for rent? A buyer's market. Which of the following pairs best describes 640 acres? It'd be 1/36th, which is a township, or 1/36th of a township, which is also a section. The answer is B, 1/36th township, section. What is an abstract of title? Chain of information. How is the interest rate determined on an FHA insurance mortgage loan? By the market. What is the term that is used to refer to the data that an appraiser accumulates and updates, including such things as maps, cost information, and previous appraisals? The answer is data plant, P-L-A-N-T, plant. 5 individuals form a limited partnership, with 3 of them acting as limited partners. The partnership purchased a 100-acre tract and subdivided into 1 or 2 or 5 acre tracts. Mr. Ray brings a partnership a prospective purchaser who offers to buy 2-acre lots for $10,000. The sale is completed. Mr. Ray receives a 5% commission. Which is correct? The answer is, as long as Mr. Ray is a real estate licensee with a current and active license, there is no violation of the law. A broker receives a binder deposit from a buyer who is making an offer on a property. 2 days later, the property owner-seller makes a counteroffer, which is accepted by the buyer. The attorney for the buyer and seller disagree over the title of the property. Both buyer and seller make demands on the broker for the deposit. Based on the information, what should the broker do concerning the dispute over deposit? Notify the commission within 15 business days is the answer. How would a second mortgage that does not involve the seller be reflected on a closing statement? So if it does not affect the seller, it's a credit to the buyer. The DBPR issued a license in error and an applicant who has actually failed the state exam. What statement applies? FREC will immediately revoke the license but recommends the applicant apply for retesting. Which term would you expect to see on a broker's closing statement? Seller's expense shows as a disbursement is the answer. How would a new mortgage appear on a closing statement? A new mortgage appear on a closing statement would show as a credit to the buyer. How is 20 mils written? And the answer is 0.020. If a complaint is withdrawn by the complainant to the DPBR, what will the DPR probably do? Continue with the investigation. Answer is C. How long may an unlicensed person be imprisoned if found to be a violation of Florida State 475, and it's up to 5 years, and that is for a third-degree felony. Once the final order is issued, within how many days may a petition to review the district court appeal? And the answer is 30 days for an appeal. What is the term used to refer to a real estate licensee who is specialized in a certain geographic area? And the answer is farming. Complete the sentence. Before FREC rules can be introduced into the court of law, a certificate of the rule must be presented with a signature of a chairperson of FREC is the answer, the chairperson. What is the term used to refer to an unauthorized use of another property? And it's called encroachment. Real estate sales associate prohibited from which action? And that's suing the principal. You can sue the broker, but you can't sue the principal. Which entity enforces deed restrictions? And the answer is private owner. What is the principal of the broker, also known in the agency form of business, employer, and a single agency? The local planning agency or planning commission normally has an authorized to approve which of the following? And the answer is site plans. All right, which clause in the deed would include a deed restrictions? And it's reddendum. Deed restrictions with an R? The answer is reddendum with an R. What is the classification for economic activity that brings money into an area? The answer is basic. What is the landlord's first step in the eviction process? Give 3 days notice is the answer. How is the appraiser compensated? A fee based on time and difficulty involved. Who must approve the appointment of a district of the Division of Real Estate by the Secretary of the Department of Business and Business Regulations? The answer is FREC. What could cause a fixture to be converted into personal property? The answer is severance. When 2 or more people scheme to defraud someone, of what are they guilty? The answer is conspiracy. Which tendency would exist for an ownership of a husband and wife? And the answer is tendency of the entireties, so the entire relationship. To be a member of FREC, a person must have at least how many years of real estate experience? The answer is none. What is the term used to refer to the process used by the government to exercise the power of eminent domain? And the answer is condemnation. Condemnation. All right, that's 36. Let's go on to 37 here. How would the property be transferred when the owner has been declared mentally incompetent? The answer is committee deed. What term is used to refer to the borrowed funds to finance the purchase of real estate? The answer is leverage. An administrative complaint is filed against a subject of the FREC investigation. By law, how much notice must the respondent be given before upcoming formal hearing unless waived? The answer is not less than 14 days. Prior to being sold as a timeshare, which type of building must it have been? And the answer is a condominium. What is the term used for a 6-mile wide strip of land that is contained between 2 meridians? And the answer is range. Which process refers to sand deposits that build up in the shoreline that result in estuarization? The answer is alluviation. Alluvion. What is the term used as a buyer of a mortgage in a secondary mortgage market? The answer is assignee. How would a father and son own property together with their rights of survivorship? The answer is joint tenancy. A broker is confined to a hospital for a temporary mental incapacity. Which is correct? The licensees may be suspended for a period of the incapacity. An offer can be terminated by all of the following actions except, so the choices are counteroffer, acceptance, withdrawal, and the answer is breach. An offer can be terminated by all of those except breach. Which condition Which condition exists when the cost of improvement exceeds value? And that's an over improvement. Which type of risk is the risk that an investment property cannot be bought or sold quickly enough to prevent loss? And that's liquidity risk. When do real property taxes become delinquent? April 1st of the year following the tax year. Within what time frame must real estate licensees notify department of a change of address? And the answer is within 10 days. Which condition is most likely to occur when the demand is less than the supply of available housing? The buyer's market develops. Which term refers to the right an owner has because their property is lakefront? And it's littoral rights. Littoral, littoral rights. What is the function of Fannie Mae? To purchase existing loans. A broker's responsibility to the principal includes securing which of the following? The best price. Two brokers are working on an exchange. The commission agreement for each of the property is the same percentage. The properties are of an equal value, and the broker decides to combine their commissions and the split 50-50. What must the broker do first to make this legal? He needs to tell the owners and get them to agree. A broker sells a prospective tenant a rental list for $200. The prospective tenant decides not to rent in the area and did not use the list. The tenant then demands a refund within 30 days. What action should the broker take? The answer is refund $150. Which term best describes foreclosure? Enforcement of a mortgage. A broker's legal duty to the principal includes all the following except obeying all instructions is the answer. A seller listed their home with a broker and obtained a signed contract with a buyer. Contingent on financing, the buyer made an earnest money deposit of $10,000 with a broker immediately deposited into an escrow account. The buyer is unable to obtain financing during the contingency period and cannot close on the transaction. What should the broker do? The answer is return the deposit immediately, providing the sellers do not object. When does disintermediation occur? When withdrawals exceed deposits. What is the maximum allowable total obligation ratio for a FHA insured loan? And the answer is 43%. What term refers to the amount of money necessary to duplicate an existing building and its reproduction cost? When the city or county sells a tax certificate, the sale of the property may take place only after the certificate has been outstanding for how many years? And the answer is 2. If a seller lists a house with a broker and discriminates against the buyers based on religion, the seller would have a violation of which regulation? And it's the Civil Rights Act of 1968. What does the seller become when a property owner sells the property and immediately leases it back? And the answer is lessee, because they're receiving it back. Which of the following would be proper formula for capitalization rate? Net operating income divided by the total sales price. Which asset found with a business brokerage are not usually found with a real estate corporation? And it's goodwill and personal property. With the income approach to value, if the capitalization rate is decreased and the income remains constant, what is the effect of the value? And it's a value increase. If the comparable property were better than the subject property in the size, what adjustments would be appropriate? And is subtract from the comparable property. With which of the mortgage could negative amortization occur due to payment cap? Adjustable rate mortgage, which is an ARM. Complete the sentence. Real estate investment analyst in the discrimination of an extent to which certain real estate investments will be fit as an investor, and the answer is objective. The period of time in which a contract may be legally enforced is governed by which of the following? And is statute of limitations. Let's see. So that one I always look for time. It says which enforced by government for whichever amount of time. All right. So which is not classified as a private restriction on the ownership of real property, and it's escheat. Escheat. That's always fun to say. All right. Residential zoning restrictions are designed to regulate which of the following, and is density of structure per acre. Or density, I'm sorry. All the following are characteristics of real estate market except being a standard product. Which mortgage clause would allow the mortgage to call the note due to event of a default by the mortgagor in its accelerated clause, because they're speeding it up. How many acres are contained in a northeast quarter of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of the northeast quarter of section 9, township 23S, range 32E, and it's 2.5 acres. So you start out at 640, and then you divide it by 4, you divide it by 4, you divide it by 4, divide it by 4, and the answer comes out to 2.5 acres. All right, so complete the sentence. If a tenant with a lease is in the possession of the property, a purchaser or judgment creditor will be subject to the right of the tenant. So it says complete the sentence. If a tenant with a lease is in possession of the property, a purchaser or judgment creditor will be subject to the rights of the tenant. What does the Greenbelt Law do? And it requires agricultural land to be assessed at its current use rather than the highest or best use, which would be considered in an underwriting of FHA loan application but not considered for a VA loan. It is mortgage insurance. Ownership rights are conveyed but not legal title with which type of estate? And the answer is remainder estate. Okay, on a closing statement, how would a purchase money second mortgage obtained from a seller be entered? And it's credit to the buyer, debit to the seller. On a closing statement, how would a purchase money second mortgage obtained from the seller? So the seller is giving them a second mortgage. So it's a credit, so the buyer owns it or owes it, and the seller has to pay it, debit to the seller. What would a broker be guilty of if it took escrow funds and placed them in a personal account? And that's conversion. A buyer makes a written offer to purchase. The seller changes the terms and conditions, initials changes, signs the contract, and sends it back to the offerer. In contract law, what is the seller's changed contract? It's called a counter offer. Jones sold his principal resident after living in it for a stationary period. He realized a capital gains of $125,000 on the sale. Which of the following applies? Capital gains is not taxable. Let's see. What is the real estate market experiencing when the demand for available housing exceeds current supply? And it's a seller's market. A sales associate has disagreed with a broker over commission. The sales associate quits. What can the sales associate do to attempt to collect commission? He can file a lawsuit against the former broker in civil court. A broker has an office using a trade name ABC Realty and Associates. The broker now wishes to use another trade name for a new office, easy as ABC. Which statement applies? This is legal, but the broker would need multiple licensure. All right, 89. A home has a poor interior traffic pattern. What type of adjustments might be applied when evaluating the property? And it's functional obsolescence. Complete the sentence. A convenience store located in an area that has now been zoned for residential use only would be a non-conforming use. Thank you for watching. This will conclude this section. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not adding any math problems. I will do a complete math recap once I get all 1001 questions done. Thanks again for stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, smash that bell notification, and let's get this test passed.